purpose can only be fulfilled. It cannot be achieved. You achieve success. You have vision and goals. You achieve your vision. You achieve goals. The purpose is the thing that drives you to it.
Even great leaders get stuck. Others thrive. I'm Mark Cook, New York Times bestselling author, president of Windfall Partners. We get leaders unstuck and thriving with their teams. Clients upgrade leaders' retreats and conferences with my 5-star keynotes and breakouts on leaders' bold encounters. Also, leaders get weekly consulting as they execute key steps. Plus, brief check-ins guarantee results, live or via Zoom. After turnarounds as chief executive and 9 global studies of 2 million award-winning leaders, I've coached 4,000 client wins at top brands with my approach in over 50 cities worldwide. My Bold Encounters is an advanced system for leading. First, powerful steps on a path forward. Second, problem-solving skills that beat obstacles fast. Leaders create revenue breakthroughs and clients see new profits. Now let's lead with Bold Encounters today.
I have Otis McGregor, who is a former Green Beret and a leader of Tribe and Purpose. And I love the topic of purpose. How are you doing, Otis?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. I'm fired up today. We got a little bit of sunshine. I got a list of chores to start on this afternoon, so I'm excited. And if I get them done, I might get to have a beer later on.
Are those chores for someone that's special to you or just your work?
House chores, house maintenance, Christmas lights that I haven't gotten down yet. Yeah, because of the weather. So, yep, keeping my fingers crossed.
Well, I'm just seeing in my mind some other human being that is lucky enough to have a Green Beret say, I am fired up to do a list of chores. Like that's like, I say that, my wife says, oh, I have a leadership expert fired up to do chores. But when I hear Green Berets fired up to do chores, it's getting done. So, I think that's a fantastic start. Hey, I enjoyed, we've talked a couple of times now, and I've enjoyed getting to know you, and I am pumped up too. I mean, pumped up's not as good as fired up, but I've got to say, I've done 9 pretty decent studies in leadership, some with Harvard, Stanford PhDs, global, scoured over 600 variables I have looked at that other people have proven make a difference in client outcomes and also financial outcomes. And that's what I always gun for, no pun intended. But of all 600 over the sequence, purpose, passion for purpose. They didn't say I'm fired up, but they said passion for purpose. The people that really exhibited that, talked about it, demonstrated it, best results. Number one, 600. So I am really excited to talk to someone who has such a meaningful purpose. They put their life at risk and go into companies. What size of company do you try to help? Or what can you help mostly? I know you can help anybody. You do help everybody, but who's your niche? Who's your target market?
Small business leaders. I love the small business aspect. Not the big business. You're right. Not that I can't help them, but one of the things I found that there's this tipping point.
Yeah,
in small to big business where that bureaucracy, and it becomes a good idea. Yeah, we need some of that, and there's no action taken. I'm an action guy, so I want leaders that say, hey, something's not right here. I'm not sure what it is. Can you help me? Those are the people I want to work with. And generally speaking, they're in a small business because they have much more situational awareness and a broader aspect, but they've got to be willing to change. That's the key element. And I know you and I've talked about this. You don't want to sit there and give somebody guidance and walk them through some processes, and they're like, oh yeah, and they're like, you hear them giving the attaboy and the tick marks. Yeah, my hand motion is the checkbox, right? Doing all that stuff, but then they never take action. God, I fire those clients. I'm like, dude, call me back when you're ready to take some action. Let's not just talk about this stuff. Let's take action. because that's what purpose is about. It's about taking action. It's about serving. As a leader, you've got to have a purpose that drives you. It is the fuel in the engine that gets you going in the morning. That's what your purpose is. And if you don't have clarity in it, it's like having water mixed into your diesel fuel when you're driving your 250 down the road, right? And it goes, yeah. That I don't want water in my diesel fuel. I want clarity and clean diesel fuel in my truck. So when I hit that gas and that turbo diesel kicks in, I'm passing that Prius up and leaving them in a cloud of smoke.
Yeah. I love those ideas.
I told you I was fired up this morning.
You are, and you know what? Later, we're gonna dig in. We're gonna dig into some detail later because you just sparked about 5 thoughts. I'll remember at least 2 of them, but we're gonna talk about those 5 parts in a minute. I want to back up and I want to get into this pastures. I know you're much bigger than a Green Beret. You're doing what you're doing now, and you're actually probably affecting not just the nation but people. But that is a very iconic word to the rest of us that just run around trying to help people make a little money. So I want to dig in on that for those of us that don't know much about it, and then talk about one aspect if we could. When you're a young buck and you're not a Green Beret, right before that, what were you? Where were you?
I was an engineer in Alaska before I raised my hand to become a Green Beret.
Tell us about the engineer in Alaska. Who's that guy?
Oh man. Well, I learned how to build an ice bridge, built lots of ice bridges.
Wow.
Yeah. People immediately go to so you cut the ice out and you made this girder structure. No. That would be really cool if that's what it was. But truthfully, all an ice bridge was or is, and they've used them for hundreds of years. Yeah, I mean they have. You clear the snow off the river, you drill a hole in the ice, and you pump water out of that hole on top of the ice so it refreezes. So now my ice that was 10 inches thick and could carry a ton, a 1-ton vehicle is now 16 inches thick, and it can carry a 2-ton vehicle, and and on up from that. And interestingly enough, you think Alaska, frozen tundra, and all that. Well, don't forget about physics, and the river friction underneath is melting the ice as I'm pumping it up on top, or my team is, right? So that's one aspect of it, and that was an amazing experience to do that.
Are they so it sounds like these things are for vehicles or whatever, but vehicles are impressed because they're heavy. And what happened right in the middle of July? Are they still working, or what happened?
No. They during the breakup in May, that's what we called it in Alaska, the big breakup. Yeah, is when the rivers open, the open water again. So they all, it's a very we were very environmentally friendly, if you think about it in that aspect. Those bridges went right back into the environment. I never thought about it that way, but we were green.
You're green, not just a Green Beret. And there was no Jennifer Aniston in your breakup. That is amazing. So
no, I was just checking. I was checking my memory to see, but you're right. There was no Jennifer Aniston.
Don't watch it. I hate that show because they're fighting all the time. Start to end, they're screaming at each other. I just hate that kind of show. Anyway, okay, so you're in Alaska, beautiful tundra, hot in the summer. They're going to the heavens, and the rest of the time, except for mid-July, it's solid ice, and you're building bridges. Yeah. And what's cooking inside you? What's going on inside you? What causes you? What inciting incident has you thinking about military?
Well, I was already in the Army there, so
okay, you were there. Okay, so what got you thinking about Green Berets?
I wanted more. Right. So when I got commissioned as an officer in the Army told me what I was going to do, which was be an engineer in the Corps of Engineers, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. That's not what I wanted to do. It's what the Army wanted me to do.
Sure.
And because what I wanted to do was be with the best of the best, to challenge myself and continue to push myself to, can I do this? Am I capable of this? Am I good enough for this? Can I make the grade? Is another way of looking at it. And as an engineer, I was kind of, truthfully, I was stuck being an engineer until I found out that I had one little small opportunity where I could raise my hand to volunteer to be tested to become a Green Beret. And I would no longer be an engineer, I'd be a Green Beret. And that's when I raised my hand. I found out about that, raised my hand, started preparing myself physically and mentally to go through the selection and assessment, as it's called, to push myself and be graded to see if I was good enough.
What was that little opportunity? Like, what are you talking about when you're saying there was this little opportunity?
Just timing in career, that quite
Just this
literally,
moment, like, oh, I can do it now.
yeah, you quite literally have this point in you got to be in for this amount of time, but you can't be in too much time. And, kind of that sort of 1 to 2 year sort of window where you submit the paperwork and say, hey, I'd like to do this. And that's the first test is you get selected for that. And then you get orders to go to Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Well, let me before you go to Fort Bragg, let me ask you. So right before you had that moment, were you watching for it? Did you have a day or a week or a year where you were like, where's that moment? Where's that moment? I need something more. And then it crystallized Green Beret and there it was, or how did that happen?
It was more of a, oh, I can do that. That's what I
Oh, a
can do.
surprise.
Yeah, because I didn't know about it. I think, well, I had a commander at the time who was a Green Beret and was no longer. I mean, he still had the Special Forces tab that he wore, but he was back to being an engineer. And he's the one that told me that I could volunteer to do this. And I'm like, I can? Wow, that's what I want to do. So yeah, as soon as I submitted my paperwork, I started training ruck marches and all kinds of swims, you name it. That's what I started doing to prepare myself physically for it.
Wow. So you knew you wanted to do something more generally, surprised by the idea of like, oh, I've heard of that. Like Mark, I'm impressed by Green Berets. I should do that. I'm in a position to do it where he's not.
Yeah.
So you jump and you raise your hand. And most of us are trying to look for a path forward. And even as leaders, we're trying to lead others on a path forward. Yours is an ice bridge. There's Green Beret. And you raise your hand and the process starts. And so now you're going to Fort Bragg. And then what happens then to a human being that's about to become a Green Beret?
Well, you're thrown into this quite literally a cattle car, and they ship you out to outside of Fort Bragg, a little area called Camp McCall, where the Green Berets have been training for now 70 plus years, 70 years now. At this one little camp. And you get a set of instructions. So I'll take a step back. So everything up until you go to this selection course in the military always has the standard. There's always a standard that you must perform to. You must do, here's the minimum standard and here's the maximum score sort of thing, and everything that we do until you get to this. And then you just receive instructions. Here's your barracks. Here's your bunk. Here's your unit. Be here tomorrow at this time with a ruck that weighs this much, 40 pounds. And that's it. Now we're gonna go. You need to go from point A to point B. Go. And you don't know, do I get 1 hour? Do I have 20 hours? What's in between? Another one that the later phase of the selection is the leadership test, and they put you in these small teams where you got to work together, and they have these crazy scenarios. Like the favorite one that everybody always remembers is called the Sandman, and it's a down pilot, and the down pilot is a duffel bag full of sand that weighs 250 pounds. And they give you like some weird tools to use to move this Sandman from point A to point B. you know how far that is because you have a map, right? So you have to make that trek, but you have to use all these parts and tools. You're not allowed to leave, even if you don't want to use them, you can't leave them behind. So if you don't use something, you got to carry it.
Yeah.
And you don't know what the standards are. You don't know, do we get 4 hours? If we only make it, if it's 10 kilometers and we want to make it 2 kilometers, is that good enough? You have no idea. So it is truly a test of doing the best you can and pushing yourself as hard as you can without knowing the standard, which leads me to that help learn that the only standard that we live by is the standard we set for ourselves. And they're doing that, and that, how hard can I push myself? How fast can I get there? How can I get there and still have my whole team, the other 9 guys that are with me, still make it? How can we accomplish it in the most efficient manner? Because, oh, by the way, that's not the only thing we're doing today. We're going to do these other 3 or 4 things. We don't know. And if that's the first event of the day and we physically crush ourselves during that event, can we finish the next 2 or 3 or 4 that are left to do? And it's a mental game and it's a physical game, but the mental has to overcome the physical. And part of that overcoming the physical is being able to push yourself to the limits that you can handle and then taking more steps beyond that. Because if you know, here's where the goalposts are, then you can push to the goalposts, right?
Yeah.
But if there's no goalpost, just like there is in life, there's no goalpost. How hard can you push yourself without a goalpost, without being able to look out there and say, that's where I need to get to. It's that far. Well, yeah, it may be that far. It may be 8 kilometers away, but how much more time do you have? Can you stop and take a break and drink some water, change your socks? Are they going to come in with a new scenario and throw a bad guy in there and make you run around like a bad guy shooting at you? Whatever. You don't know any of this stuff. And the only thing that's grading yourself, until the very end, and they tell you the results, and the only results they tell you is, you guys move over here, you guys stay here. And you don't even know what that is until they say, all right, you guys have been selected, get on this bus. You guys have not been selected, get on that bus. You don't know that Sandman day, did I do good? Did I succeed? The only thing you know is how well you pushed it, how well you performed based on your own standards. Mm. That's a unique way to start to live your life and understand that. And that's what being a Green Beret was all about. We didn't have to have somebody say, hey, we need this mission performed in this manner, to this ability, at this standard of performance. No, it was always 100%, 100 times all the time. It was.
So are they, let me ask you this. So they're giving you building block tools and skills that will allow you to do any open thing that could be conceived. And unlike all the other tests in life that have some control and end up in some cases being multiple choice, it's just wide open. It's a big, messy problem to solve, and you have no information. But you guys, they've given you some tools. It's not like they just make things hard on humans and so they're better capable to handle the messy. Don't they train you on tools and ways to think, and they get you in shape and stuff like that? Is that true? Or
no, not until after you've been selected.
Oh, so you have to make it, and then
you go and you get to
you about what to do.
That's when you get all the training, right? That's when
they want a messy problem solver to be the rookie.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They want somebody who can suck it up and always puts forth their best effort with never knowing what's more important. Only knowing that I'm doing the best and everything I can do. I remember part of it is part of that selection is sleep deprivation, right? Oh. So somewhat food deprivation, but not like Ranger School. Ranger School is sleep and food deprivation. But sleep deprivation. So I can remember sitting in a classroom at 10 o'clock at night, like halfway through this, given a blank sheet of paper and being told to draw the United States and put each capital in each state. And I'm like, I know Texas, maybe
I
Louisiana.
know where I live.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was those kind of mental games that, am I going to not get selected because I don't know the capital of Connecticut? And I don't know where is Connecticut. It's in New England. That's all I know, right? I mean, it was literally, so your mind is in this. You're already sleep deprived and you're exhausted from the physical effort, and you're sitting in there, and they give you this goofy exercise, and it just, your mind just goes, oh my god, I'm not going to become a Green Beret because I don't know the capital of Connecticut. Where is it? Wyoming or Montana? I don't. You're all, and they just leave you there in the quiet at 10 o'clock at night with the 100 other guys that are in there doing the same thing and thinking the same thing, and we're all like, yeah, crazy
That's
mental
crazy.
games.
Well,
Yeah.
so your mentality made it to rookiness, and
Yes.
you got in. Give us one sample there, a really tough challenge that was part of Green Beret training, so we can get a taste of it, and then we'll move on to the purpose stuff a little bit. But they overlap, and so I'll ask you a couple
Yeah.
things more about this.
Yeah. It was this one event. Why am I drawing a blank? It was in the Uwharrie National Forest, and I'm drawing a blank of what we called the event, but it was an individual land navigation. But you didn't know how far you were going to go. You didn't know how many points you had. And oh, by the way, each point you had to do a skills test, something from, you know, maybe it was figure out how much explosives to put on a bridge to blow up. Maybe it was assemble and disassemble a weapon, or all these sort of things are just as broad. You had no idea. And you had no idea how many points. And the instructors were driving around in pickups with spotlights at night and night vision goggles looking for you. And if you got caught, they'd grab you, throw you in the truck, and take you back to the last point. So you can imagine, you just walk 9 kilometers cross country to get to this point. You're 150 meters away from this point, and you hear, "Hold it right there, candidate." I'm like, what? Because they're driving around with no lights on in their trucks. I mean, they're in full blackout. I mean, it's a wonder there's no more accidents. And that lasted anywhere from, you knew it would last anywhere from 3 to 4 days, and you were on your own. You weren't allowed to work with anybody else, partner up, or anything like that. That was the hardest thing, and it was also my favorite because I thrived in that environment. I did. I didn't know it. I've done a lot of things as a kid growing up in the woods and things like that. But when they dropped me off with my first point and I took off, and you hear the truck drive away and it's just you out in the woods, this is awesome. And it's also kind of scary because you're back again into that, do I have, after you finish the third point, you're like, do I have one more? Do I have 6 more? You have no idea until you get to that your last point, because everybody was different too. You get to your last point, and the instructor is sitting there, says, "All right, that's it. Go over there and take it easy and drink some water. Have a snack. The truck will come by and pick you up in 2 hours." And it was literally that kind of, you didn't know if this was the first, the last one. I didn't know if I was going to have 3, 5. I talked to some of my buddies afterwards. I think I had 5, and some of my buddies had like 7 points. We all went relatively the same distance, 40, 50 kilometers or more over the time. But you just didn't know. And that aspect of, is this the last point? You get in that, again, it's the mind game, right? And I carried this into my rugby boys. I would play the mind game with them of, all right, 5 more. They do 5 more sprints. And they go, all right, let's do 2 more. Let's go another lap. Or I wouldn't tell them anything. I just keep going. so that they wouldn't get that mental attitude of, okay, I only have to make it to here and I'm done. And that was what being that one exercise was about, so that you didn't think, oh, if I just push it to there, I can be done. Because in the real world, there's no end. The only end is death, right? I mean, that's the end. So if you're able to just go, sustain the movement, sustain the accomplishment, that's what we want in a Green Beret. And that's what we want in life, right? It's not, hey, I finished that, I'm done. I'm done. Kick back and go to the beach. You can come back from the beach. Guess what? You're right back at it. That's what I'm talking. That's life, man. That is life. It was a great representation of life.
Yeah, really true. That's a little bit. I played football, but I was a member of the Highland Rams National Rugby Club and played a little rugby. And it is a difference between the two games a little bit. The game's always going almost all the time, and you push the ball a little bit, and then you push a little bit more, and you get out to the line, the backs that most Americans would recognize the name back. And the little guys that get scared to be in the scrum too much. I was clear out there because I had some speed, but I also loved being out of man.
You hugged the touchline.
It rarely got to me. I was running back and forth most of the time, but it never stopped. And you're always trying to get in there and push it forward. And it's a great game for that. Let me ask you something very fundamental to my practice. One of the things in business, when we were looking at leadership initiatives and the results they got, and one of the things that caused a big difference is, it's interesting, the ones that were at the very top, the exceptional result group, there was a surprising number of them that saw the word mission differently. And in business, even some of the big Ivy League articles that come out, I won't say the names, but they come out and they make it very technical. It's very businessy. It's very internally focused, and we're going to do these things. And some of them are inspirational, just a sentence. And in our study, we kept hearing accomplishments, 1 to 3 accomplishments, 1 to 3 accomplishments, which is a very different type of mission than not 90, but about 87% of business leaders think about mission, because mission is such a wonderful word. The business kind of hijacked it and turned it into a synonym for purpose, and just kind of use it as what we do, which is not really a mission, because if you do it today, then it's not a mission because you already did it. So it's interesting. I'd love to hear, since you're coming from a military background, you understand the purpose is what we do now, it's what we do in the future. But the word mission is a different thing. Like when you are going on a mission, there's some things that are specific. You go to the moon, you get home safely. You save the Chilean miners out of the mine or they die. That's a mission, not we save lives. I had to sadly go on a search and rescue, which I also want to ask you about a little bit. And when we gathered in the parking lot, they weren't at the table saying, we save lives. They were saying, we're going to find this person right now to return her to her family. So it was a very specific objective, a very specific target, limited time, not forever. And then you get a new mission. So give me your thoughts from a military standpoint, what the word mission means in that context.
Yeah, well, I grew up studying the Ranger handbook. And in the Ranger handbook, it's very clear what a mission is. It's just like you said, we defined it as who, what, when, where, and why, and what time does it got to be done? What's the time on target? It was very specific, very simple.
Time on target.
Yeah. And we had to memorize it. We had to know in our head what all those aspects of it. So just that right there meant it needed to, everybody in the platoon, everybody in the patrol had to know the mission. It had to be very concise and clear so that everybody knew, because part of the Ranger creed is, I will move on to the Ranger objective to accomplish the mission, though I be the lone survivor. Well, if I'm the lone survivor, I damn well better remember the mission so that I can accomplish the mission. That is how I learned it. As I grew up in the Army and moved into the more strategic world, the mission statements became very much like what you described in the vision in the business world, in these long drawn out, we're going to blah 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 blah, and it's like, come on, man, that's not the mission. The mission is to reestablish democracy in blah. That's the mission. That's very clear.
Protect Fallujah, take it over, and get the Taliban out, or we don't.
Right. I mean, secure Fallujah. That's a mission. Secure Fallujah by the end of February. Roger that, sir. I got it. I understand what that means. But what's happened in the I gotta show more sort of thing world of, look, I'm better than the last guy. The word secure is no longer good enough. Well, we got to define secure. And it turns into this paragraph, which used to, when I was growing up, again, very clear mission statement, very clear commander's intent. And what the commander's intent is gets closer to the purpose. Hey, guys, this is why your mission is important, so that you understand that mission's importance. So not just, hey, get to this point by this time. You get to this point by this time because this. And that was a fundamental thing that truthfully wasn't even added into the military operations orders until the 70s, where they started including that. And when you think about that, when you know what your boss's intent is, you understand, why do you want me to do this? Why do you want me to shift around the tools along our manufacturing line? And when you understand the outcome that he wants to achieve and why that is, then you can go, oh, okay. I understand this now. And I could see how, I agree. And now I'm not going to go through the motions. I'm actually going to perform the task. And that's a difference in that. And you have specifics of the mission that you're going to get the time on target accomplished along that path. That even if it's not a commander, even if it's a customer, a target, or an ideal customer that has a particular type of need, and the path is the why, as you're describing, and the mission is a step on the path. We have to do that by then, and it's time on target, as you described. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. Let me ask you another thing about your military background. So, search and rescue is interesting because I deal with leaders, executive leaders mostly, but also product leaders and sales leaders. And they have three things in common that they don't recognize at all. Almost never would they associate. They use different words for it. There's a little different ending, but in the beginning, they share three things. It's been measured by a study I did and also a Purdue study, and that showed that the outreach to other human beings that people do as a leader actually could predict success more than their management skills. Because it's a way that gets new ideas, new thinking, and awareness of the market, awareness of the partners and competitors and such. The habit of continuously doing outreach. So that's what an executive would do, is to continually expand their horizon through conversations and networking and business outreach. So that's exactly what we ask salespeople to do. If you're trying to get a prospect, it's a very similar. If you do it effectively, it's exactly the same. You're not trying to get their money, because as soon as you do that, people's amygdalas fires up a warning and they avoid you. So it has to be a business person. There has to be some legitimate value in learning both ways as the primary purpose for having an interaction.
And you still have to get to them, whether you're a leader or a salesperson, still a target you have to go find. Now, a product person is supposed to do continuous product discovery, weekly, monthly, forever. And they too tend to go to customers we already know that have problems and listen to problems and try to solve them. Those are the status quo. The exceptional ones, the ones that have had exceptional results, are the ones that go to prospects, people that haven't done business with us yet, but are in the target market. So now they're having to attract strangers into a live conversation and into a live search for what's in the business and the on-site discoveries that have to take place. And all three have to meet a new person, have a business reason that's inquiry, and start a relationship that's real and full of value both ways, way before we start saying, can I have your money and get you to sign this piece of paper? So all three have to go do this search function. What I'm interested in also with you is that there's the other side, rescue. You know, in your world, you have search helicopters, search pilots, people searching for these people that we're trying to find, which is the front end of the task in business. The second end of the task is when you actually have to have the meeting or secure the meeting or schedule the meeting with a stranger and have something important happen. And the value is like saving, you know, you're trying to help them, you're saving them in a small way. And that means that someone's got to dive in the water. It's not going to be the pilot, right? And someone's got to go in the hairy, scary mountain alone with no definition, as you've been describing, and trying to find the person. And it's not going to be the radar specialist. They're the search people. So I think that's why we have search and rescue. We've got to find them. We got to get them. I'd love your perspective from a military analogy on what I just said. What are some of the things that were popping like popcorn as I talked about that business version?
Well, bringing back memories of doing those sort of missions and being part of it, you know, and so you kind of touched on it. If you think about it in the discovering the search, you know, there's some organizations that exist in the military that's all they do, with all the electronic systems that we have nowadays and the trackers and radars and satellites and things like that. They search and they get it to a spot, and then the rescue is the guy or a couple of guys usually will put in that,
or a gal these days.
Actually, the Air Force PJs is one organization. That's all. This is all they do. The Air Force PJs, and you know, I have no idea what PJ stands for. I've been saying PJs for 30 plus years, and I have no idea. But anyway, the Air Force pararescue jumpers, maybe the PJs. That's what they do. They fly forward. They either whatever system they're using to get in to that spot near, let's say, the downed pilot. They do that. So now they're on the ground, and they have to make it. And this is what was popping to my mind. They have to make a far and near recognition of that individual. So if you think about that individual and you put your client metaphor on, an individual is scared and not trusting because he's in bad guy land. And in bad guy land, as far as he knows, or she, as far as he or she knows, everybody is a bad guy. You can't trust anybody. So now here's these two PJs that come up, and they're in full kit. I mean, because they're ready for anything, a firefight, stay in for a week, you name it, whatever kind of whatever kind of injuries the pilot might have. They've got all this stuff. So they are full kitted out, and they're avoiding the bad guys too, because we're in bad guy land. So now they've got to recognize the pilot. There he is. The pilot has to say, I don't think those are bad guys. And, you know, I'm not going to, you know, the old days, the old 38 revolver pistol that the pilots used to carry. Now Now they've outfitted them with 9mm Berettas and various models of that. So the pilot is sitting there with his pistol because he hears somebody coming. He's ready to shoot, right? That just like a client that's got that don't talk to me because you're just selling me crap. I don't want any crap. I'm not buying crap. I got enough problems. Leave me alone, right? That's what the pilot is. He's like, he's going to hide. He's camouflaged himself and everything. So that's the far recognition signal.
So he's the downed pilot, you're saying.
Right. The downed pilot, the guy that's on the ground. So now we get closer, and it's the near recognition signal. So now not only do the PJs, the guys going in to do the rescue, now they're close enough. They have to verify that, are you really that guy or are you a plant? Because that happens too. The bad guys can put a plant in there. So now I have to do a near recognition. And I've got some codes, and there's some things that we do in the military that we use, some tools we use to do that. Okay, so now I validate that it's you. Now I'm going to rescue you. I'm going to pull you out, and we're going to get you out of here. Mark, we're here to save you. And we're going to take care of your wounds. We're going to put you in however mobile you are or whatever, and we're going to get you out and get you back to safety.
So that code in the beginning is a language of we're here to help.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a great thing. The reason I bring that up is because, as young people, especially, or people that have been in smaller organizations that haven't been barraged with training and required to read books and things like that about outreach, what happens is we think we can do it all on LinkedIn. We just automate the whole system. We can just spew emails and text now and attract 1 in a million. And it turns out to be 1 in a million, which hurts your brand because the other, 999, et cetera, that don't like you anymore after the 20th time, it's a problem for your business. And so you have to realize when you're a leader or a product person or salesperson that you have to have search and rescue. And search is like the marketing. People do have to find target markets, target ideal people to approach. There has to be some sort of very carefully placed net out there or radar to find people to help. But you also have to realize that it takes a human being on the ground to actually help somebody. And that's where you have to pick up the phone or reach out directly. And you have to speak immediately. Like you just said, I loved it. You have to speak the language of help, not the enemy language of selling. And it has to be genuine. If you're really there to help, they can hear it. If you're someone imitating enemy language, they'll hear it. So you have to be the rescuer speaking the language of help as you approach at the very beginning. And then you have to be skilled, of course, in that, the art of helping, right?
Yeah, well, it's that trust and relationship. It's that instant trust and relationship. And how do you build that in that sales market? How do you build that trust with that client? How do I build that trust with the downed pilot? Right? Yeah. That's the far recognition and the near recognition. Now I've built that trust. And now he hears, I'm here to get you out. I'm here to rescue you.
Yeah. And our own pilot, I'm not discrediting that, man. They're amazing. Marketers, digital marketers are amazing. We need that. We need the air cover, both at times of war to soften targets, but in times of rescue, you got to go. We need them. And they may be the first most important thing to help us identify the help target, get there and see the target. And we need them. So no discrediting them. They can't do anything without the people jumping on the ground and actually rescuing. But rescuing can't do anything without getting there and identifying it. We need each other. That's why there's 2 words there. And it's exactly the team and the actions of a leader and a product person and a business development or salesperson that we have to search and we have to rescue before we sell. So really great discussion. Thank you for that. Tell me about your philosophy of purpose. I don't want to, we have some time left enough that I think you could tell us about your feelings on purpose. It's what you do. I want to give you the mic about purpose for a minute.
Yeah. So the way I like to, one of the phrases I like to use is we should live our life with intention in pursuit of our purpose to achieve our success. Now, break that statement down. Your purpose is the fuel that gets you up in the morning to do the actions to achieve your success. Define it a little bit more. Purpose can only be fulfilled, it cannot be achieved. You achieve success, you have vision and goals. You achieve your vision, you achieve goals. The purpose is the thing that drives you to it. For instance, my purpose is to create a legacy of leaders, because I believe that great leaders create great organizations. If we have great organizations throughout our communities, we're going to have great communities. And when we have great communities around the world, we will have a better world. I am creating a legacy to create a better world. And that's my purpose that fuels me each day to say, all right, what do I need to do to fulfill that, to create more leaders? What do I need to do to move me closer to what I see as my success, what I see as my vision of achievement in doing that? That's what purpose is. Purpose is a fuel that drives you. It's the thing that when you roll over at 3:55 and you go, shit. All right. Let me just sit here for a minute or lay here for a minute. And then 4:05. All right. Got to go. All right. Got to get up. Got to get my workout in, because I know my workout. If I get my workout in, then my blood's flowing. I'm thinking. I'm in my process. I've done my hour of power, to use Tony Robbins' way he refers to it. I've done that because then I can serve my tribe to create that legacy of leaders. Because if I roll over, like some folks do, I was talking to people the other day that were snoozers, hit the snooze button. And I'm just like, dude, why, if you hit the snooze button 3 times each day, why are you setting your alarm for that time? Why not set your alarm for the time that you stop hitting the snooze button? Do some math. I don't understand that. Maybe that's one of my bugaboos, my pet peeves. I don't.
Well, I'm just confused that a Green Beret wouldn't get up till 4 in the afternoon. Is that?
No. 4 is 04. 4 in the afternoon is 1600.
Oh, true. I forgot to do the 12 on top for military time. Yeah.
24-hour clock, man. But yeah, that is it. So purpose, having clarity in your purpose, it attracts people that believe in your purpose also. That they don't have to have the same purpose, but their purpose is aligned and they want to be part of that. They see that your purpose helps them achieve their purpose. So that's what your tribe is. And the other piece of your tribe is the values. So everybody in your tribe has similar values. Your values are all aligned. They're not lockstep. We're not talking about, a bunch of cookie cutters that are all thinking exactly the same in the tribe. No, we need different talents, different aspects, different perspectives, different backgrounds, but the values and the purpose alignment in that tribe is what makes it a tribe. And that, when you have those elements working for you, you understand how to live your life with intention in pursuit of your purpose to achieve your success, and you have a tribe who believes the same things and has that same value. That's how, man, you can tell I'm getting excited again. I fired up.
Good. We're trying to entertain too.
But that is what is so exciting about life. I feel sorry, and I want everybody to not live this way. I feel sorry for the people that go, I gotta go to work. And they go, and as soon as they walk in the door, they're like, damn, 3 more hours till lunch. And then as soon as lunch is over, 4 more hours until I can go home. Oh, it's Friday. I can't wait for the weekend, because then I don't have to work. Dolly Parton's song, I always use that as a reference, 9 to 5. Man, if you're living that kind of life, if you're that person that can't wait till 5 o'clock on Friday for the weekend because Monday morning to Friday afternoon sucks, change your life.
Yeah.
Don't just go through the motions in life like that. God, please, please. It sucks. Don't live a life that sucks. Live a life with intention in pursuit of your purpose to achieve your success. That's happiness.
Yeah. Well, and I would add this. There's staying stuck and doing what you just described, and then there's being passionate on your own and purpose, former Green Beret like you. I think one of the available options in the middle that is a huge option that people miss, and frankly, I've missed it in the past too. I would not miss it again. I'm a little older now and wiser and done a little research, but where you are, there are human beings that we gather each day, ultimately to either help down the line, or the most important people at the end of the line are the contacts and the customers, the end users, the 5 or 6 constituents that we are gathering every single day to try to help. And there's several different kinds. There's so many options in that to see and learn about, and take a little of your own time. If you're employed by someone and you're not excited and you're going to work every day, I so wish I would have understood this when I was employed. Because look, if you're going to end it anyway, or if you're going to get fired anyway, or if you're going to get laid off anyway, go out big. And the way to go out big, you probably won't ever get out because you'll become so valuable, is to point at the people down the line from you that take your work and use it for something else for customers. Or go to the end of the line and learn about all 3 to 6 people, the main contacts. Gently, you have to be collaborative. You can't dive in and stir things up. But you, just like we described in search and rescue, you do it carefully, you speak the right language, you do the things, and you get to know those people directly and personally. And people say all the time, well, my company doesn't do that. It doesn't matter what your company does. You're bored at work. And your company would love you as a human being to meet another human being in all the personal channels that exist now, and take it carefully and be light, and really get to know them as a person without interfering with the operations of the relationship. And you will become prepared to contribute to the operations of the commercial relationship at some point. And that finding a purpose right where you sit, if you're bored, is a step that you can absolutely take before you leave and go find something else that you think is out there. Because you have a lot of money sitting around you if you work for a company. You don't have the budget, but there are things that can happen with so many people gathered to do something. And there's improvements and changes and things that can happen. And you might do a little bit on your own time, but job hunting is going to be on your own time too. So anyway, that's, I don't know if you agree with that, but that's how I feel. I feel very strongly about that, actually.
I do agree with it because I experienced that. I lived that life when I left the Army. When I retired from the Army, I spent 7 years just chasing the next paycheck. No purpose, no identity, no reason for why I was doing anything until I reflected back on it and realized what I was doing, and realized that the only reason, and I even said this several times to people, and I didn't know it. I said it tongue in cheek. I didn't know how true it was when I said it. Was the only reason I was working during the day was so that I could coach rugby at night. That was, I said that to people. That's the irony of it all. I said that to people, but I didn't understand why I was doing that. And I went from job to job. I even turned down some really nice jobs because they wouldn't afford me the flexibility to be out at the practice field at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Interesting.
And I didn't even realize that I coached rugby for 7 years before I realized that was what my purpose was.
Yeah.
Was to beat those young men.
Yeah. I think that I've come to really believe that anywhere there's one or more human beings around you in the workplace, if you decide to take it slow, be careful, do it like a great human being would, not haphazardly like an animal. But if any human being is around you at work, there's some purpose that is super deep meaning, because everyone has needs, everyone gets stuck, everyone has issues. And even if they're trying to achieve something great and you don't have something, that means they have path in front of them, time and effort and challenge and opposition. And if you start helping other people and looking for things around you to add meaning to what your day is, life changes. If you're focused on a task and a check, you're in trouble. So let me ask you, I want to ask you one more military thing before we go. Can I? Do you have another minute?
Oh, yeah.
So one of the big discoveries of one of the leadership variables that really predicted results kind of surprised me. And it's obvious once I say it, but boy, it's rare. You know, people think this will be fictional, because if you look at it, it's an oblong, it's a little bit of a misshapen bell curve. It's not a real bell curve. It's got a nose at the end where all the great results are. And so there's a lot of bad results, a huge mountain in the middle of mediocre results, and then a tiny portion, just not high teens, but low teens of exceptional, truly exceptional result initiatives that have been led. And so this will sound fictional, but it's only because the vast majority, around 90, almost 90% of work we see is not this. But we found teams at the top that were being led, and the subculture, because it's controllable. You know, I have some issues with the word culture, because that means everyone, and I don't know who can change everyone. But on a team where there's an ethic and an expectation, that there's an esprit de corps, there's a camaraderie. And if your husband has to go on chemo, maybe we don't let you go on FMLA because you'll miss your bonus. Maybe we pitch in and we train Jenny extra, and Jeff does a little training, and we're going to take it for 2 months. And you just go home and take care of your husband, and we're going to make sure you get the bonus too, because we love you. And it was very surprising. You know, they're not the teams that are going to movies and sitting in dark to build teams. They're the ones that eat together and do things that are down the mission and down the purpose lane for the less fortunate or things. So I want to hear military sense of esprit de corps and camaraderie and that feeling of team that has sacrifice at the core. Can you tell us a little bit of that with the military background language?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can think of, one of my teams that I was a commander of. We were that kind of a team. We were together when we weren't deployed. But of course, when we were deployed, we were there together 24/7. Even when we weren't deployed, we were together nearly 12 hours, 5 days a week, from 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night, training, working together, doing that. And then when we weren't, again, back to that, when we weren't deployed, our families came together too. And even when we were deployed, because Miss Suzanne loves this story of hosting Thanksgiving dinner when we were all gone, and everybody's in the team, their families all came over to the house for Thanksgiving dinner. That's that kind of esprit de corps and that tight knit community that we created. That brotherhood. When you hear the word brotherhood, it means something in that community. I mean, it's almost become the hey dude sort of thing. I hear people say hey brother a lot, and I don't use it except for a handful of folks. There's only a handful of folks I look at that way. And as you were saying that and explaining that, I thought of one of my favorite metaphors I used to explain what it was like being on a team. And the story goes like this. Monday morning, we have a kickoff, training meeting, we'll call it. And I say, hey guys, by Friday, I need 3 bags of blue powder. And I get the roger that, sir. And we go about our business, getting things ready, doing whatever. And Wednesday afternoon, I have 5 bags of blue powder without me having to do one other thing. Now, here's the counter, right? Let's say Wednesday afternoon, the guy who's in charge of getting those bags of blue powder comes to me Wednesday afternoon and says, "Hey, sir, I've got 2. I'm working on number 3. I'm going to keep you updated." Thursday morning, not looking good, sir. That 3rd bag is looking kind of tough. Thursday night, another update. I've got one more thing, sir. I'm going to try one more thing to get that blue bag, that last blue bag of powder, that last bag of blue powder. I got to come up with a better way to say that. That last bag of blue powder for you. Friday, first thing in the morning. Sorry, that didn't come through. I'm going to try again. I'm going to follow up again. But you hear what I'm saying? I am not, as the leader, I am not having to go and say, "Hey, Johnny, what's the status?" "Oh, sir, well, No, I'm getting direct, necessary feedback. I'm getting the utmost performance, whether he's able to get all 3 bags, or like I used, when I first said it, I get 5 bags by Wednesday early, the over deliver sort of thing, or I get updates without me even having to chase or ask. That's the quality. That's what it was like being on a team. That type of effort. Every organization should be like that. When you send out something as the leader, the leader shouldn't have to go searching and asking. There should be a feedback channel.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I thought that's my favorite example, because without a specific thing, but that's what it felt like every day to be in that organization, to be that close, tight knit, and have that kind of trust in performance, trust in my job as a leader, and their trust into ability to perform their jobs. Man.
Let me ask you one thing about that. A couple of things, actually. So when you're listening to someone say, "I haven't got the blue powder yet," before, are you listening like, are they extending? Or like it was me, me, me. As you were repeating that, I kept hearing me, I, and I was kind of waiting for the, I'm asking everyone. I'm getting everyone involved because I'm not pulling it off. There's probably a little of that. And then the other element I would love you to address really quick is sacrifice. Like, I'm giving a career opportunity, I'm putting myself in danger, or I'm giving up financially, or I'm giving something not just for my own betterment later, but for us or you and your betterment later. What about those two things? Reaching out, getting more help, and sacrifice.
So, yeah, first off, I use the term I, but the assumption is his I, because he is responsible and willing to take the fall, if you will, if it doesn't happen. He's not bringing down the we. He's taking responsibility. The assumption is that he has, and I know this because I trust his performance, he has tapped into all his resources. The other 9 guys, 10 guys on the team are working with him. He's just the one who's responsible, and he's willing to stand up and say, "I didn't get it done." That's what I'm talking about when I say I. It's not I'm the only one working on this sort of thing. That there. Now I've forgotten the other piece. Sacrifice. Well, there's different kinds, right? Everybody joins the military for a different reason, to serve, and most people that join don't even look at it as a sacrifice. It's a desire to serve. When you get into situations of combat and that kind of sacrifice, what's interesting, and there's been lots of studies on this, is that there's no thought. You can go back and listen to interviews of Audie Murphy. He didn't think about what are the consequences of this. Am I sacrificing myself to save my buddies? He didn't think about that. His thought was, what can I do to save my buddy's life? It is a not every Medal of Honor citation I've ever read and every Medal of Honor recipient I've ever talked to has never given it any thought in the moment of action. Not a one of them. They see a danger and they see that it's their job to protect their mates to their left and right. And that's how they look at it. They don't look at it as a sacrifice. If they take that moment to pause, then it doesn't happen. Because human nature is what? To save yourself. It's a
so their sacrifice in the beginning is to give up consequence.
Mm-hmm. Right? They don't even think about it. Nope.
No. Wow, that's maybe the biggest sacrifice you can make at the front end is giving up consequence, isn't it?
Yeah, because you don't even consider it. You take that action, and it's not just in combat. You see that in natural disasters, car accidents, things like that, where people even search and rescue. You think about search and rescue. That person has gone down the cliff. You don't think about when you're going to rappel down that what if the rope breaks? What if this? What if I can't get up? You don't think about any of that.
Yeah. In fact, I didn't know this, but I learned not in a military sense, but in a normal search and rescue, regularly do the searchers and rescuers both go to the hospital because, and this is a sad truth, but it's just really interesting because of the volunteers. They say, don't bring your dog, and someone brings a dog, and then someone gets hurt or the animal gets hurt. And then they say, don't go out in the dark. Leave the professional. Let the professionals do it. And I even roomed with one of the guys, and he was a dentist. He took off. He was gone at 3 to go look. And I was like, someone's going to have to. Luckily, we didn't have to look for him. But I did hear at the end that someone broke their femur. And they let volunteers, they carefully train, they scream, they do things quickly because they were in a hurry. But because volunteers need to try to find and help loved ones and loved ones, they allow it and they give up consequence because they know that their volunteers are dangerous in one of those activities. Yeah. They're also necessary in many places, but they're both necessary and dangerous. And they just say, we need them. They need it. Let's take on that consequence. It's really a touching thing, actually. Well, I want to thank you, Otis, for our great new relationship. I'm excited to know you and spend some time with you and work with you even sometimes. And I'm thrilled that I got to meet you and really loved your insights. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, same to you, Mark. And just thank you for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to what we can come up with next.
Thank you for joining us to get leaders unstuck and thriving with their teams. You've heard a little bit about the power of bold encounters and leadership. Watch on, go to full episodes with the iconic expert interviews at markspencercook.com/podcast. And please subscribe. My site takes you directly to YouTube video and podcast versions. Please make comments, share this with your friends. Also, reach out to us to just brainstorm your priorities, challenges, events, or how bold encounters might help. Visit windfallpartners.com, click the Let's Talk button without obligation, and reach out. I look forward to speaking. Thank you for joining us. Now, let's lead with bold encounters today.